Earlier this year, I had the pleasure of reviewing the Razer Blade, a gaming notebook that wasn't perfect, but really did strike the right balance between powerful gaming smarts and then just a great all-round portable laptop. But what if I told you that there was actually arguably something a little bit better out there? Maybe this, the XMG NEO 15, a 15-inch portable gaming computer that's actually far cheaper. Now interestingly, unlike the Blade, the Neo is an example of something that's not entirely developed in-house, and is essentially the laptop equivalent of a pre-built PC that you might get from a system builder. And this means that it's made with a lot more off-the-shelf parts than you'd probably expect from something from maybe HP or Razer, though XMG have taken a chassis and then added their own sandblasted finish and then a couple of extra lighting features, so it's not entirely off the shelf. And it's something that I do have a few mixed feelings about. I mean, this is definitely not the perfect laptop, make no mistake about that. But it has a lot of things going for it that I think really do stand out and that people really will be interested in. Customizability is probably the ace up its sleeve, as you can use the configurator to actually get the exact specification that meets your needs. No mucking about with specs that have some things you want and some that you don't. There's a total of 2 M.2 SSD and RAM slots, so you can populate these as you desire, and there's actually a choice of 3 different graphics cards as well, so you can tailor this gaming performance to be exactly what you're after. There is only one option for CPU and screen, unfortunately, but ultimately it's an excellent thin-bezeled IPS 144Hz display, and then a 6-core Intel i7 9750H processor, so it's probably what you'd want to go for anyway, and thus isn't really something to be concerned with. A large chunk of the laptop actually remains fully upgradable as well, and very easily accessible with just a few screws on the underside of the chassis, so if you want to buy this and then upgrade the RAM or storage later, it is going to be very easy to do so. The specification that I'm rocking here has the RTX 2070 Max-Q inside, and honestly, I really cannot recommend this specification enough. You see, when paired with a 144Hz display, it just breezes through ultra gaming. And sure, the ray tracing features are very much headline hitters, but they're probably not really worth the FPS hit, unless you're playing something like Minecraft or just something far less intensive, but it really is about as uncompromised as it gets right now for laptop gaming. The power to play any game in a far smoother state than even an Xbox One X that you can take with you anywhere and everywhere. Something that does worry me a little bit, and is a complaint that I never thought I would have to make about a machine, but there we go, is actually, if you look on the underside of this laptop, you'll see that the mesh cooling here, likely for the SSDs and things like that, or maybe just to get better airflow in general, does mean that you can actually see a fair bit of the PCB and a few of the different components. And my worry with this is that because it is so portable, and because you are likely to take this with you out and about and go and edit and upload videos in somewhere like Starbucks, let's say, it's something that I think would worry me a lot, that you're going to see some sort of water damage here. And this might be, again, a weird thing to say, and a lot of people will think this is the most ridiculous complaint he's ever had about a device, but it's something that I have been a little bit scared of when taking this out and about, that it is a little bit more exposed to the elements, shall we say. The battery life is also a little bit hit and miss, as while it is perfectly capable of running extended stints away from a charger, it's just not as well suited to this as the Blade was, and I think that you'd be quite lucky to get more than a few hours of work out of this. But then again, having said that, for the type of laptop that it is, which is more of a very portable computer that you can use for high-end gaming and high-end workflows, I think actually this has suited me down to a T, as I'm going to be working from places with power anyway, and the fact that you can actually fold this up, and then this is just a normal, you know, fairly thick, but also fairly normal 15-inch laptop that will fit in my very normal sized 15-inch laptop bag, I think that all of those things don't really matter. It's just more about the fact that you can do all of those tasks that you want to do, maybe at home, but do them everywhere. It was only really the fan noise that properly got on my nerves, as while it does do a respectable job of cooling, it was not only loud, but it was just pretty whooshy, with a tone that could be heard through headphones, which was really, really annoying.
Let's explore this way.
You can adjust the fans with different preset profiles, but as both the CPU and GPU were hitting the high 80s during a game of Apex, we are very clearly near the limit of hardware power in such a well-proportioned case. The Neo does have very practical I/O though, as while we do quite annoyingly lose Thunderbolt for USB-C 3.1 Gen 1, you get a full-size Ethernet jack on all models, an SD card reader, full-size HDMI, 2 mini display ports and then 3 USB ports. So quite a strong mix with a couple of holes then, but the power jack is actually located on the rear of the laptop, which is something I really love, as it means that any cable mess is much more practical when you're using a mouse, as you're not hitting it when it's located on the right hand side. Touchpad navigation also works a treat thanks to the precision tracking. The keyboard is definitely a bit of a quite literal sticking point for me though, as even after, 2.5, 3 months, I still can't quite get used to it. The Neo 15 uses optical mechanical switches under every key for snappy reaction times when gaming, and to their credit, I do find that this machine really is great for gaming. The extra travel even has the benefit of stopping the keys getting especially hot when you're playing those extended gaming sessions. But the problem for me though is that for everything else, it's just a little bit weird. Now, I don't make that many mistakes on this keyboard, so it's quite nice to type on, I guess. But then again, in terms of feel, I wouldn't say it really feels that nice to type on. It's sort of mushy, but not mushy. It's not a bad keyboard, but it's not really a good keyboard either. It really is just strange and odd. The only actual problem, and the real sticking point, I'll make that joke again, that I've had with this, is that for some reason the spacebar for me does seem to stick every now and then. And I'm not sure whether this is just the design of it, or whether there is actually like a slight problem with my unit. It is very hard to say. I will say that if I'd paid for this and if I was not going to return it anyway, I probably would have actually got them to send a new one out just in case to see if it did, but it is a little bit odd. On the whole then, I have to be honest and say that to me, this feels almost as good as the Razer Blade Advanced. You don't have the 240Hz display, Windows Hello or Thunderbolt support, but you pretty much get the same performance and better customization with a 2-year warranty as standard rather than 1, and then full-size Ethernet and an SD card reader. Pretty useful stuff, right? But you want to know the real kicker of this? Price. This is far, far cheaper than the Blade. Stupidly so, in fact. And thus, it's actually really, really easy to recommend. I do wish that it was a little bit quieter in operation, and I think that if you do buy this, you will start to get a little bit annoyed. And obviously with my unit, that spacebar did work 100% of the time, not 98% of the time or whatever it is. But actually looking at this purely from a would I buy it perspective, it actually is surprisingly enticing. All of the performance that I would need from my day-to-day laptop, but then at a far cheaper price than the Razer Blade. In some ways, I guess it really is a bit of a no-brainer. A massive thank you to you guys for actually watching this video. I'll leave links to this down in the description below. If you've enjoyed it, please hit the like button. It really does help me out a lot. And obviously let me know your thoughts on this. Would you buy this over a Razer Blade? Do you think that the Razer tax is worth it for actual extra performance, maybe build quality, things like that? Or are you just paying for the name? I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts on this one. Massive thank you to the guys over at XMG for actually sending out this review sample. To you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.